This one might even get more heated, gentlemen. Yadier Molina debate.
Oh boy.
So this debate, as I hear it, is what, Hall of Fame debate, dude? So we've got no for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we've got no. Matt says he should not be in the Hall of Fame.
Personally, I'm saying no.
Okay.
But that's different between what might actually happen.
Okay.
So you, that's such a silly thing to say.
Why?
Because who? Okay, so do you know more than the guys voting on who makes the Hall of Fame? Then
I don't know who votes on the Hall of Fame. Right?
AP writers, either way, the people who choose who goes into the Hall of Fame. Are you saying you know more than them? Because that's just a ridiculous statement.
Everybody has different opinions.
Right. So you're gonna. Okay.
I mean, there's cases. So
why
you don't know that he's gonna get it.
But why do the people that talk about this thing think that he will?
You tell me. You're making the case for it.
I'm happy to. So career as a hitter, who he is not known as a hitter. That is not what he's known for. 277 batting average, pretty damn good. 176 home runs for a catcher, not bad. Over 1,000 RBIs, 2,168 hits. Those are solid.
Well, and you said not bad. What do you have to be a Hall of Fame player? Great, right?
We're talking about his batting average being 277. That's pretty good, right?
Solid.
It's pretty damn good for a defensive first catcher. That's not bad. I'd love to see his numbers. I'd actually write down like batting average versus other catchers. But
I get that.
Okay, good. So career. So it depends on how you look at WAR. Because you said something funny to me do you remember what you said to me when we first started talking about this? You said, well, if we're going to put Yadi in, we should put in Jason
Kendall.
Excellent. I'm so glad you said that. Because let's look at the numbers between the two of them. It depends on what site you use. Fangraphs WAR versus Baseball Reference. There's different ones. Fangraphs takes into account, they just added this in 2019, they take into account strikes added with framing.
Okay.
So Yadier Molina's F WAR on Fangraphs is 55.7.
I'm not saying he's not I think they're... All right, go ahead.
His F WAR is 55.7. His Baseball Reference WAR, which doesn't take that into account, is 42.3. Jason Kendall's on Baseball Reference is 41.7. That's pretty dang close. But then when you take into factor the ability that Yadi has added behind the plate and everything he's added, Yadi's F WAR is 55.7 versus Kendall's 37.4. They are not in the same range. They are not even comparable.
Is this all... Are you talking
Fangraphs WAR.
Is this defense?
No,
or total?
overall. Oh, defensively, it gets even better because Yadi's defensive WAR is 28. Do you know where that ranks all time for catchers? Second, behind Pudge Rodriguez. Sandwich between Pudge and Gary Carter, not Gary Sanchez.
So which one are you using? You're using Fangraphs?
I'm using no. This is Baseball Reference's defensive WAR. I'm using defensive WAR. Yadi was good for 28 wins above replacement just defensively, and that's both sites, as opposed to Kendall's 13.9. Doubled him. He doubles Jason Kendall's defensive WAR. Kendall could have been a better hitter. Fantastic.
What about offensively? How's that look?
It's Kendall. Well, it depends on what site you use because
and what's the average?
It's about the same. I'll get into that. Don't worry, I'll get into that. Let's look at defensive runs saved. This one will not favor you, especially when we're comparing Jason Kendall.
There's never any comparison between defensive sides.
Okay, but you have to take that into effect. You cannot just discount that.
You have to take both sides into effect.
Yes.
You can't just be... This is the measurement you have to look at. Is he that good enough defensively? Maybe he is.
He is statistically.
He literally has to be like the best ever then.
He's the second best
because
ever.
He's not...
Man, he's the second best ever.
Can you at least say his offensive numbers are not Hall of Fame worthy?
Obviously not.
Okay.
But that's not an offensive. It's not the Hall of Offensive Players. It's not the Hall of Offensive Players, is it?
You gotta be good at both.
Okay, but was he bad hitting? As a 277 average
good.
bad?
I mean,
but is that bad?
Compared to other Hall of Fame catchers, not great.
I'll get into that. Don't worry.
Too.
Defensive runs saved. Do you want to guess how many defensive runs saved Yadi had? It's the most in history, by the way. It's 182. Do you know how many Jason Kendall had saved? 27. It's a huge difference. That is an insane difference.
When are you going to go through the offensive numbers between the two?
I already gave you their Fangraphs WAR. The difference here is 55.7, 37.4. I'll do some quick math for you. 55.7 minus 28. 55.7 minus 28 is what? 27.7 for Yadi offensive on F4. 27.7. Jason Kendall had 24 offensive WAR. Yadi had more offensive WAR than Jason Kendall did.
So you're just going to go off the you're going to go off the website that's in favor of him, right?
I'm going off the website that takes into account everything. That's like saying you don't want to take everything into effect. I
always looked at Baseball Reference.
Okay, but they're both valid.
Right. Okay, if that's the case, then they did not have this. Jason Kendall had a way higher WAR offensively.
Jason Kendall was terrible defensively.
Yes.
So he should just get in because he's good offensively.
Well, that's the argument.
The
you're
problem
making.
is that Yadi was like a 10 defensively and Kendall was like a 1, and Yadi was like a 4 offensively and Kendall was like a 6. The averages are way different. Kendall was no star. You can't compare the two. Jason Kendall's not even being
Their
considered
total
for the
wins
Hall of
above
Fame.
replacement are pretty close. That was
On
always
one site.
That was always a running joke. Like,
Yeah, I know, you took it from that Dom
Yeah,
Fleeman
yeah.
guy on whatever his fucking name is. Dom
I love
Frederick,
you, Dom.
Director of Morale. You suck. I have him
love
blocked
you,
on Twitter and he'll
I'm
stay
sure
blocked.
Yeah, you blocked him probably because you don't like what he puts out there.
Because he puts out bullshit.
Yeah, that's-
So then let's continue to look at Yadi's career then.
okay.
10-time All-Star. Pretty good. That's pretty good. 9-time Gold Glove Award winner. That's pretty good too. 162 career total zone fielding runs above average. That's a baseball reference stat. Second most all-time for catchers behind Pudge. Career 40.3% of runners caught stealing. Best among active catchers from last season. League average is 27, 13% better. He caught 2,184 games, 4th most in history. He's a 2-time World Series champion. And since you like playoff statistics so much, in the World Series, he's a 328 batting
Yeah,
average with
playoffs.
12 RBIs in the playoffs in the World Series alone.
Yeah.
Another good fact for you. Cardinals pitchers, when caught by Yadi's in their ERA, 3.7. Any other catcher, 4.2. It's the biggest discrepancy in MLB history between one catcher and the rest.
I guess, how much can you measure that though? Like,
What do you mean?
like how can you? I don't know. Can you really?
You
how
look
much,
at
how much
runs
credit?
given
Does,
up.
how much credit does the catcher get for that?
They should get, if they're calling the pitcher, they should get a lot.
I mean, you gotta have a good pitcher. If I go out there and pitch
But it was with
Molina,
the same
I'm not gonna-
pitchers. So it's Yadi with the Cardinals staff versus other catchers with the Cardinals staff. Like Yadi has caught the same pitchers the other
When is that?
catchers.
Are you like
Over his
that off
career.
Are you basing it off this year? 'Cause
No,
he's-
over his Yadi.
caught
Is
there
Yadi
for
playing
20
this year?
years.
Yeah, exactly. But like you're basing it over his entire career.
Okay.
Yadi didn't play 162 games this season,
Yeah.
so other catchers had to catch these same pitchers, and
Yeah.
when they did, the pitchers were a half a run worse.
I'm
by
sure it
average.
was. I mean, it's backup players though. It's never.
They're still catching the ball.
I
The
know,
pitchers
but-
are the same
But
pitchers.
they're backups for a reason, right?
But aren't the pitchers the same pitchers?
yeah.
Like a pitcher's good, right? No matter what. Why is Yadi's average so much lower with the same pitchers?
How much lower was it?
3.7 compared to 4.2. It's a whole half run difference. It's the most ever. Biggest discrepancy.
I'm not debating whether he's good defensively or can handle.
He's
pitching staff.
great defensively.
Yes.
He's one of the greatest defensive catchers of all time.
I just don't think his
Second most
his
defensive
offensive numbers are not close to like top Hall of Fame players. Like,
No, but you're just taking into effect offense. You're not thinking defense too. You're just saying his offense was bad, he's not in. Even though his offense wasn't even that bad. Is it Barry Bonds level? No, it's not. Is it Albert Pujols level? No, it's not. You're right. But then let's look at the other catchers that are in there, because if you want to compare the two. Let's look at F4 again. We'll do that Fangraphs WAR because it takes into account more things. Out of the 16 catchers in the Hall of Fame, Yadi ranks 8th. Smack dab in the middle of all Hall of Fame catchers. He has the 4th most
I guess
hits.
we're looking at different.
He has the 4th most hits. He has the 4th most doubles. 7th in assists, and he's the best catcher of all the catchers in the Hall of Fame in fielding percentage. Can't argue that. That's just the way it is. The only catcher with a higher WAR than Yadi in the last 20 years is Buster Posey, and it's 57.5 versus 55.7, so it's pretty dang close. Since 1994,
In
only
the past 20
Pudge.
years, you said?
Yes,
No.
I'm using Fangraphs WAR. Are you using Fangraphs WAR? No.
I'm using
You're using Baseball Reference WAR, which doesn't take into account everything.
what's the extra that takes into account now?
The strikes added by pitch framing and behind the plate. They give you.
That's gonna give him that much.
Go
on
look
the
it up.
on
Go
the
look it
difference?
up if you
What does
want
that do
to.
for him? That doesn't change his offensive.
No, but it changes
production.
it shows just how valuable he is behind the plate.
So
It doesn't change
that's
offense.
gonna jump his WAR
Yes.
that much.
Yes, it does.
I
Go.
don't know.
If you
That's-
dispute Fangraphs, that's on you. You can talk to him. Go and call him. Tell him you disagree with how much they give
when I
him.
get home.
Go ahead. But it's very close. Like the only two catchers since 1994 with a higher Fangraphs WAR than Yadier Molina is Pudge Rodriguez and Buster Posey. It's pretty good company.
Joe Mauer is below him on that list.
Joe Mauer wasn't a catcher, first of all. He played more than half of his games at first base.
Did he?
But yes, he is lower.
There's no way.
Well, look at the numbers then. What do you mean there's no way? It's staring you in the face. You
I
just read it.
am looking at it.
You just read it. What do you mean
I'm
there's
looking
no
at it.
way?
On this list, he's number 7. On Joe Mauer's 7, Yadi's all the way down there at 22.
What
Right?
list are you looking at?
Baseball reference.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. Doesn't take into account anything.
So what is he? What number is he on your list?
Fangraphs?
Yeah,
He's
8. You said?
I don't. Yeah, 8 out of Hall of Fame catchers. Out of all the catchers in the Hall of Fame, because that's who he's going up against now. Is
Yeah.
what catchers
there's
are
like
in.
10 above him on. At least 10 above him on my list.
on Baseball Reference 4. Sure.
That makes no sense.
You use whatever site you want to use to show whatever you want it to show, because I am as well.
That's hard to believe he'll jump up that much just because he frames a strike better.
I don't know. You were talking a lot of crap about Contreras and his struggle behind the dish
Because
he can't frame. Because Contreras struggles framing. So how much of a difference is that when Yadi does?
I have more to say about that. We'll get into it.
Also noted, there is a thing called the Bill James Hall of Fame monitor. Essentially, he takes into fact everything this player has done versus his contemporaries versus Hall of Fame players. A scale that 130 essentially calls a player a virtual cinch to make the Hall of Fame. Like Albert Pujols, his number's like 300 something. Yeah. Like he's in. Yeah. All these grades are in there. Yadi scores a 169. The virtual cinch, and this is a well-known thing that it has been very accurate, and I'll tell you how accurate in a second here. He gives Yadi a 169, and a 130 is considered a virtual cinch to make the Hall of Fame. Maybe not first ballot, but a virtual cinch to get in. Let's see. Anybody who has many good hitters who have exceeded 150 on it, but aren't enshrined in Cooperstown, and all of them were linked to PEDs. Every hitter who's been above 150, like Yadi is, that was not enshrined, is linked to PEDs, or it's Todd Helton or Kurt Schilling.
I think we read the same exact article.
Todd Shelton's not included because he plays at Coors, so they excluded him, and Kurt Schilling because he's really bad on Twitter and needs to.
We read the exact same article.
Yeah, we did.
Anyway, have you heard of the Jaws? It's like
Jaws. On what website's it on? Baseball Reference. Yeah.
So
I wonder where you got all your information from.
Well, we gotta get our information from somewhere.
Sure.
But he is 22 on that list out of all Hall of Fame players. So that's not really. I mean,
how many players are in the Hall of Fame?
Catchers.
There's 16.
Is there 16?
There's 16. Not counting the ones from the Negro Leagues that they inducted posthumously.
Okay. So notable players ahead of him: Jorge Posada and Jason Kendall. Okay. Two guys not in the Hall of Fame.
Sure. Should Jorge Posada be in the Hall of Fame? Do you think?
I mean, they put up pretty close numbers. Should he be?
I don't know. I'm asking.
He's not in it, so.
What's his Fangraphs numbers?
I don't know. Fangraphs pulled up.
Sure.
I would say yes for Jorge.
You would say yes for Jorge, and they have pretty similar, right? He was a winner.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I mean, he has been. Yeah, he's definitely been good in the playoffs. I think
playoffs.
2006 World Series, he put up some pretty good numbers. Pretty sure. So that's impressive. But
fitting that I'm in the middle because I'm in the middle of both of you.
Right.
But here's some numbers too I want to give you. So this is how
all of them from Baseball Reference.
No, this is not from Baseball.
Oh, okay.
So this is how he ranks to other like Hall of Fame worthy, whether they're in or not, like comparisons, right?
Okay.
So, and this is out of all 69 catchers that have a minimum of 5,000 plate appearances and 50% games caught. Okay. OPS, he ranks 40.
Okay.
Not in the top 50.
Are you only going to give me offensive numbers here? Because if you are, I'm just not interested.
These are offensive numbers. Why are you have to be good at both sides of the ball to
So you're saying he was bad offensively?
He was average.
Okay. And then his defense, how was he defensively? Where would you?
He was great.
Was he great or was he elite defensively?
Elite, okay, whatever you want to call it.
That's good enough. You can have the offense all you want. His numbers offensively, statistics speak for themselves. Over 1,000 RBIs, that's an impressive number to be at for a catcher. Over 2,000 hits, that's pretty solid for a catcher.
The only two that he's not in the bottom 50% are RBIs and hits.
Okay. Looks like. He hit 277. That's decent. That's not bad. Offensively, that's a decent average, right? That's not bad for playing 20 years. That's a pretty strong sample size.
Yep.
And he had 176 home runs. That's not horrible either, right?
I'm just saying.
You'll take those numbers.
I won't read through all of them, but those are the only ones that he's like not. The other ones he's like ranked 40th, 38th, 44th on base percentage, slugging. He doesn't really hit a ton of home runs.
He had 176 in his career.
Not horrible, but not great.
He was never a home run hitter. There's no question.
And if you compare offensive wins above replacement to a bunch of people, Buster Posey, Joe Mauer, I know you said he didn't catch
50%. He didn't catch
50%, whatever. Jason Kendall, AJ. He had a lower offensive WAR than AJ Pierzynski.
Offensive WAR. Where are they getting their WAR from?
I don't know where they got this.
Probably Baseball Reference. Okay, both sides are good in their own way, sure.
All right, so then
either way, wherever you use the WAR from, either way, Yadi's is higher than Jason Kendall's. Baseball Reference and Fangraphs, he's higher. So your message to me, where put in just general WAR, overall WAR,
barely,
still, but higher. And
that makes me sad because that was always my favorite thing. Was
so your message that you sent to me was wrong and inaccurate.
It's like by like half a point.
Lower. Still lower.
He got lucky
lower.
these past few years.
Oh, sure, that's what it was. Even though his last year was bad, he had negative WAR.
Also,
so he
another,
actually lost
I was going to
numbers.
touch on this too. Another reason I think he could have like some sway to get in is because he's a pretty famous player, I would say. Like an average baseball fan probably knows like who he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's been with the team for how many years?
20 years. Seasons.
Played at the freaking Peoria Chiefs. That's how long he's been with the Cardinals. 20 plus years. Like that's admirable. Like people that's
People
impressive.
outside of Peoria don't care about Peoria Chiefs though.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying like that's just how long he's been playing.
Yeah,
20 years for the Cardinals, 20 seasons.
So yeah, that's impressive, and people like that. So
Longevity,
fan favorite. Like he's gonna get some sway with that. So will he get in? I don't.
The voters are the guys who vote on this are going to look at what he has done in his career, and what he has done defensively has been second best behind Pudge. Defensive numbers, he's the second best defensive catcher in history. That has to mean something.
Mm-hmm.
That has to mean something to you.
He's second behind
Pudge.
Okay.
Second defensively of all time. That has to mean something.
Of course it does, but...
So then why is he not in your mind? Because his offensive numbers weren't top 10? That's crazy.
They weren't even top 20.
Okay,
out of catchers.
Okay, there weren't even 20 catchers in the Hall of Fame, so that's inaccurate.
Exactly.
16.
I know. I'm
so you can't say he's out of
like
top 20.
All-time catchers. Top 20. He's not in the top 20.
Okay, in some offensive statistics, sure.
Overall.
RBIs, hits, both very good. Broke 176 home runs, hit 277. Like his offensive numbers were not egregiously bad. It's not like he's...
No, I never said that.
Right, okay, so his offensive numbers are fine.
Are
they
Hall
Hall of Fame
average
numbers?
To average is why
They're at least average. 277 batting average? That's real good.
It's decent.
That's solid.
Yeah.
176 home runs for a
defensive
defensive
we're
first catcher.
We're talking Hall of Fame right now.
Yes.
Yes, he needs. Yeah.
So then
I
compare
hope it's
him.
average.
So then compare him to the other Hall of Fame catchers like I did, Matt. He ranks better than 50% of all of them. Better. He's in the top 8 statistically. Overall numbers, top 8 of the Hall of Fame catchers.
He's not above. He's above like 3 maybe.
Depends on what you look at. Statistically,
depends where you look, I guess.
he ranks 8th in WAR in Hall of Fame catchers when you take everything into consideration.
I mean,
That's enough.
He's not even close to like the top of the top, like Pudge and Mike Piazza. He's not even close to those guys.
Close in what?
Like, and any like statistically.
Sure, they were offensive. They were great offensive catchers. Pudge was great all around. Pudge is probably the best catcher to ever play the game. No fight here.
Yeah.
But Yadi did enough defensively, in my opinion, to definitely make it. I don't think he's a first ballot. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you think he's first ballot.
Nope, not a first
When is he
ballot.
eligible?
I don't know. A couple
I
of
think
years.
it's like what? It's like
24, 25 maybe even later. No, I think it's be like what 5 years.
I would say I think it's 5 or 6 years.
So probably 27.
If I had to guess, it's just mediators 2 cents. It would be that I think Yadi makes it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's 4 or 5 years. Like he's on the ballot.
he'll have
He's
to be on the
making
ballot.
What
it.
do you have to get? You have to. How much percent do you have to get to? No, to stay on the ballot.
Oh, that.
I think
Sammy Sosa's been on the ballot.
Yeah,
for 20 years.
I think you get to stay on for like. I think you get like 10 years.
Yeah,
or
you
something.
get 10
I
years
think
of
Bonds
being
is like done.
I think
Yeah, because I think they finally
that's
passed on that.
crime.
Yeah, that is a crime.
That is
a crime. But I think however many years, I think it's a decade.
Do you think him being like a notable fan favorite, like?
Well, I don't think.
Do you think that plays any factor?
I think writers are lying if they tell you they don't have bias.
They have to.
Barry Bonds is
Absolutely.
in. Chris
Barry
Schilling is not in because he's a
Chris
piece
Schilling's
of
not
shit.
in.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Okay,
So
well,
there is bias involved.
Yeah.
And I think that plays a role that might give him some leeway being with an organization. Name another player? The only players that I could think of that have been with the team full career is like Derek Jeter. Like that's the only one I could.
No,
think of.
Molina is.
Posada did it. Wainwright's doing it.
Yeah.
There's a few. Trout will have done it.
Yeah, Trout was another one.
Trout will have done it for sure.
But like it's very rare, so people
rare.
like that's respectable, and I feel like that's going to give him some.
Might give him some.
Votes.
Yeah,
But
I think
his defense is good enough to be in.
just not first ballot.
I don't think
maybe
he's
not
first
even
ballot.
second.
No,
but I think he will get in. I'm on the side where I lean towards. He is. I mean, besides Pudge, best defensive catcher.
Yes.
I mean,
he's quite all of the.
The fact
numbers
that
you
there
wanna
was
look at,
the
he's
fact
second
that
best defensive
when
catcher of all time.
during his prime, and Posey was right there, probably being the second best catcher ever, like total. And Molina was pretty much in an argument every year for who is the better
Who's
catcher.
the better catcher this year?
It's just, I think that gets you in the hall, an argument for why you're good. But he's competing up there. There were questions with Posey, who is a no-doubter. Probably, in my opinion,
I
first
think
ballot.
Posey should be.
He should be first ballot. Like Posey
He's
literally
awesome.
produced nonstop from the moment he got there. Won World Series, and I think the postseason success helps Molina as well. That's another thing. It's like when the lights were on the brightest,
he played his best.
He stepped up.
Yep.
And it's like that. If it was me as a voter, that would sway me a smidge as well. Because, 277 isn't the highest, but I mean, also, like you said, defensive catcher.
Yep.
But when the lights shine the brightest, he stepped up.
He did it with the bat and the glove when the lights were the brightest.
Yeah.